And we're taking a closer look at that market action with Anthea Gardner from Cartesian Capital. Anthea, always a pleasure. Hello.
Hi, Nalu. Good afternoon. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you, Anthea?
It's up and down. The market's all over the place, and my mood always depends on the market. You know, gold's having a nice little rally. I guess that's on the back of expectations that we'll see a rate cut in September. But global markets are a bit jittery. I think they're concerned about the rhetoric about worsening US and China relations. And of course, I don't think we know whether it's just politicking or it's going to last and carry on for much longer. And then this afternoon, we've got the MPC. I don't think anyone in the market is expecting a rate cut later today, but undoubtedly, the market will be analyzing the governor and his MPC members' every last word to see what to expect in September, I think. So the market's pricing in 25 basis points cut in September. We at Cartesian, we're not that convinced inflation will fall to 4.5% by September. So we think a November cut is more probable. Of course, if the US cuts in September, then it gives the MPC room, if you want, to cut or reason to cut. I'm not sure how to put that actually. You know, even if, or the freedom to cut, I should say, even if inflation hasn't reached the midpoint of the target band of 3 to 6.
It's very interesting, you know, because of course this interest rate picture is one that we're watching keenly, and with the US and so much depending on the US, and we're seeing the presidential race there really getting interesting is the word I'll go with. We are also seeing, you know, kind of concerns that a Donald Trump presidency could be reflationary. And I'm just wondering if markets at all are concerned about that, or if we're just at this point not dealing with that possibility and are just pricing in what we know for sure today.
Oh, no, we're definitely worried about it. So I think Donald Trump as president will be good for the US dollar, which of course leads to a weaker South African rand, and nobody likes that. And then of course the weaker rand and the fact that we are net importers means higher inflation for us as well. So of course we're worried about that. But you can only do what you can do. I mean, it's so interesting. We looked at Bloomberg today and saw that Donald Trump has a 64% chance of becoming president. But what was more interesting was that Kamala Harris has now stands a better chance than Biden of getting more votes, or maybe not of becoming president, but she definitely is suddenly more popular than Biden.
Staying with the US, we've seen tech stocks dropped a little bit, Nasdaq brought down, but I've also seen Goldman Sachs issue a note saying that the S&P 500 may also dip a little bit more. I'm wondering what is happening there, maybe looking at those tech stocks rather, that have been, you know, the pillar of the US market, and then looking at the rest of the market, Andrea.
So, Nalu, I haven't read that Goldman Sachs report. I only saw the headline. And so I'm not sure what to make of it. But what I have seen, obviously, in the last 2 days is ASML and TSMC come off significantly because of Biden and Trump's rhetoric. I don't know what to call it, politicking. You know, they seem to be very anti-China, and any company that is selling to China, they're kind of putting up security measures in order to stop these companies from producing and then selling to China. So it's very much almost a trade war that they're starting. And clearly, that's never going to be good for anybody.
Absolutely. So Nvidia being beat down for that as well. So maybe that'll be incentive for the US to tread lightly on that front. To bring it back home, we did see Anglo's out with a full report here. Not the best report, I must admit. Of course, maybe starting off with their copper production reasonably flat. We saw BHP come out yesterday. Their copper production is fantastic. And I guess it just matters at this point where the ore body is and your ability to mine it effectively.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is very specific to the mines and where they are. So Anglo reported, I thought, a strong second quarter performance, you know, maintaining production guidance across most assets, except coal, of course. That was revised down. And then despite a 6% decline in copper production because of the operational factors in Chile and Peru, Minas Rio still achieved record levels. You know, the CEO went to great lengths to point that out to us. And so this whole Anglo stable, in fact, um, it, it, it's difficult to lump them all together. Some are doing well, some are not. So Anglo American Platinum are expecting a 15 to 25% decline in earnings for the first half of 2024. And that's mostly because of softer metal prices and a drop in palladium and rhodium prices. And then we had Kumba as well. So they're looking at a 26 or dealing with a 26% drop in benchmark prices because of reduced steel demand in Europe and China. And that means they're anticipating headline earnings per share drop of 24 to 29%. So it's really not looking good, while some of it's not bad.
Well, that's it. Very curious because Amplats is up 4.5% today. So is it possible that, that update was not great, but not as bad as what markets had anticipated?
I think that's their forward guidance, actually. So they said that in 2024, production and cost guidance will remain the same, and they're looking for penciling in cost savings as they had planned or promised in the market. So I think it's about expectations. So what was the market expecting? And what did they come out and say?
An interesting one with Kumba. Before we wrap on this one, Anthea, we are seeing Kumba here. Their total output for the first half fell 2%. And of course, Kumba's story is also based on, I think, China's story. And that's not quite like nobody's expected this recovery to be as uneven and for it to take so long. But it really is that uneven. It really is taking that long. And then, of course, issues here at home, infrastructure issues also are holding Kumba back.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. And I think we've seen some really positive, good change in Transnet. We're still waiting for their March results. And once we actually see the numbers, then we'll know better. But it does feel like Transnet's getting a bit better, but it has had a negative impact on the transport of ore to the ports. And so I can imagine that Kumba under pressure or looking, we're looking as the market for a catalyst for change, basically, upside.
Well, that's it. I want to get into stock picks now, but first, maybe let's take a look at counters that have found favor with your industry peers. It's Thursday, actually, so let's get your stock picker, Anthea.
I had my pen ready.
Yes, you had greedy.
Okay.
Let's get your stock pick.
We were talking about Trump possibly being the next president. And if he is, we definitely want to be long this US dollar. Mm-hmm. And if we are going to be buying dollars, which we do like to do, then we probably want to take this opportunity to buy some Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company, TSMC, you know them. So firstly, the share was under pressure yesterday because of, as we spoke earlier, US presidential hopeful, saying that Taiwan has to pay for US protection. But TSMC came out with great results this morning. So we're definitely buying some of that.
Wonderful. A pleasure having you this afternoon. Always great chatting, Anthea. That was your Midday Markets Update with Cartesian Capital's Anthea Gardner.